What's up, guys? We are back. If you're Catholic, I'm sorry, but forgive me, Father, for I have sinned. 4 deadly sins of fitness business owners. Because at some stage in your career, owning a fitness business, gym, personal training studio, you have committed one of these sins at some point. So, what are the 4 sins? We're going to get right into it. So sin number 1 is a term that we had coined that we should trademark and put the TM over it. A Frankenstein gym. Frankenstein gym drives me crazy. When I get on the phone with a gym owner and I hear, yeah, we have a boxing bag in the back, I'm like, oh no, bad news bear. So that is deadly sin number 1, having a Frankenstein gym. What do you offer? Are you a kickboxing place? Are you a boot camp place? Are you an open gym? You're confusing your people, you're confusing yourself, and you're putting less profit in your pocket by having that. So we need to kind of rework that. Frankenstein gym owner, you need to narrow it down to 2 options. Small group, large group. Small group, one-on-one. Small group being the base of what you're doing, because small group will generate the most profit and is the most systematizable one out of all of them. And if you guys think about professional teams, not all of them have one-on-one trainers. When these guys get together, they're all trained in small groups with a head coach watching the group. It's a similar thing that you're going to deliver to your clients. It's the best way to do it, and that's the easiest way to get to a 7-figure run rate.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Head coach and assistant coaches. Universities do it. That's such a good point. Universities, arguably the best athletes in not the world necessarily, they're not pros, but the best amateur athletes that exist in this nation are trained in groups. They're not trained one-on-one. They're just not. They're trained in groups. Why? Because it works better for the end result. So why not do that with your staff, or excuse me, with your members? They don't need the one-on-one. Not unless they're really injured individuals or they have issues, whatever. But also on top of that, these university athletes are not hitting a heavy bag some days and lifting weights some days and doing Pilates the next day and this and that. They're on a regimented progressive strength program. That's what they're doing. So why don't we take a note out of their book and do some customization of a strength program in a small group for our members? It just makes the most sense. And we're just going to talk about this till we're blue in the face, how much it makes sense. But Frankenstein gym, man, can't do it.
Yeah, that's deadly sin number 1. You never want a Frankenstein gym because you're leaving money on the table. If people are coming in and they want to do boxing and this and that, go to the boxing place. Or you can incorporate the boxing in with the large group, but don't have a separate person come in for boxing. Oh God, please don't do that. That's another sin. That's a whole nother story. So that's sin number 1. Sin number 2, and this is the one that everyone makes this one, not tracking your numbers. This one drives me crazy. How you doing this month? I feel like we're down. Well, are you? What do the numbers say? The numbers. Your business is based on numbers, and you need to know those numbers, and you need to be able to rattle them off and look at them and understand what's going on. If you don't have an idea of what your numbers are, you never know. I was on the phone with a gym owner the other day, and he was telling me how he has such great attrition. People never leave, blah, blah, blah. And then in the same sentence, he's telling me how his head desk person is always arguing with clients to stay to their contract. So if you have really good retention, how is your front desk person always arguing? That tells me you don't know your numbers. Right. Whereas if I get on the phone with somebody else and they're like, yeah, my attrition's at 8%, boom, that person knows exactly what their attrition rate is. And we can guide and fix things so much better that way. Jimmy, what numbers should they be really focusing on tracking?
So when we look at your KPIs, and some of you guys don't even know what a KPI is that are listening to this, but time to go to school, right? So when you're looking at your KPIs, you want to look at how many members you've added that month or that week or that day. You could track it down to the day. We like to look at it weekly, personally, at our facility to really see the big picture, and we'll know by the day what's going on. So We want to track how many clients we've closed. But if we backtrack that another step, we want to see how many appointments have been booked. Okay. We want to go from how many appointments have been booked, how many appointments actually showed up, how many leads did we have, how many dials did we make. These are all numbers that you want to track in the lead nurture sequence to see where you're breaking down in your sales process. But you also want to look at the percentage of people on freeze, the percentage of people that cancel at your facility. Those are also big numbers that we want to look at. And then we want to look at our revenue numbers, what's going up, what's our average lifetime value of each member, and that's going to be calculated based on attrition. But we want to look at, from an overview, these are the numbers that we need to know. We need to know leads, dials, how many booked, how many showed, how many closed, how many left, and how that affects our revenue, and how many are frozen. Because all of those things are going to affect our revenue. We want to be within a certain margin at all times with that to indicate what things we need to work on in our business and what marching orders we're going to give to our staff. That's, build your business by the numbers. So when we look at all these numbers, it becomes less emotional. It's not one of these things where, oh man, we're getting all these cancellations. It sucks. This is horrible. This isn't awesome. But then you look at your trend lines of your business and you go, well, we're not doing anything to fix that. Or you look at your trend lines of your business and you go, well, this is on par with what's normal. And we're not going to get much better than this. There's a certain amount of expectation that you can have based on data and trend lines that you have with your business. And you know, within a couple of points, how many leads you need to get every week to grow, how many leads you need to get every week to maintain. And you know when you're not getting enough leads to even maintain the business that you're at. And you can do all this math and look at all these numbers to really have a big picture of your business's success.
Yeah, well said. So that was point number 2, not knowing your numbers. If you guys don't know them, start tracking them now, immediately. Stop listening to this, press pause, and go and start tracking them. All right, number 3, thinking you know how to do it all, or you're the best one. No one trains the way I do. This is deadly sin number 3. Very, very bad for your business, because if you're the best person at your gym, that's a problem. That's a problem, because you are replaceable. I'm replaceable. Jimmy's replaceable. And that's how you want it to be when you are the owner of a facility. Think about it. If you were to get a franchise, say you were to open up a Subway. I don't know, Subway came to mind. So say you open up Subway. Now, it's not rocket science to build a sandwich, but you don't know the structure of Subway. You don't know how to build a sandwich. So now, if you opened up a franchise, are you going to go and be the front desk worker because you make the best sandwiches? No, that would be silly, right? That would be extremely silly. It's the same thing in your business. You almost want to pull yourself out of that role right away. So this way you can work on the business instead of in the business. And that whole age-old expression, this is exactly what we're talking about. You're working in the business when you're training the sessions. You're working on the business when you're focusing on sales and marketing.
I can't tell you how many gym owners that I've spoken to that don't trust hiring staff members because they don't believe that any staff member that they hire is going to be able to train their clients as well as they can. And it is just a recipe for you to never scale or grow your gym at all. You are going to be the linchpin in that business, and the business is going to be solely dependent upon you for the rest of the time that you own it, if that's your mentality. There is no way on earth that that is true. There are plenty of trainers that are better than you, that live in your local area. They may be better than you in certain aspects of training people. They may be a little bit more charismatic. They may understand a little more about biomechanics. They may connect with a member a little bit better. There are aspects of their ability to coach that are going to be better than yours. And you have to get your ego out of the way and understand that having somebody on your staff that is a better trainer than you is a godsend. That helps your business grow so much better because they're probably more passionate about that aspect of your business as well. and you're passionate about growing the business and making sure the numbers hit and making sure the business is growing and scaling and you're providing jobs for people and these other things that you need to be focused on and passionate about. So you saying, I'm the best trainer, I can't find any staff that do it as well as I can, you are lying to yourself and you're not training them up well enough. And it's another example of looking inward at yourself and what your things that you need to work on are and building those things out so that you can actually have a scalable business.
And at this point, you actually have a system problem. If you're the best trainer in your gym, you have a system problem because your system should be better than you.
Mm-hmm.
And I've explained this so many other times. You want to always think of your system. If someone has no knowledge and they came in, are they able to conduct this session 75% of the way? That is the goal. It doesn't have to be 100% perfect, but as long as they're able to do it at least 75%, you're in a good spot and you have a good system. And I always use the analogy to me, can my daughter come in and do this, right? Because I don't want a high alphabet soup trainer to be in there all the time because it's just not realistic. It's expensive for your business. You want somebody who's actually passionate about helping people more so than the person with alphabet soup after their name. And if you have alphabet soup after your name, you need to use that alphabet soup to teach your staff. You go from being the best trainer at your facility to the best teacher of your trainers. And that is how your business will grow, giving you more profits. So it's not an ego thing.
I love that.
It's not an ego thing. It has to do with building more profits in your business. So
let's focus on that quote one more time there, Anthony. We have to pull that quote out and put it somewhere. You go from becoming the best trainer to becoming the best teacher. That is, okay, if you don't take anything else from this podcast, if you're struggling with staff, you need to develop the skill of developing trainers. You go from being the best trainer in your facility to the best teacher of trainers, the best trainer of trainers, right? That is, so one more time, that quote, okay? Burn it in your brain. You go from becoming the best trainer to becoming the best teacher. Beautiful. I love that.
Every once in a while, I surprise everybody. All right, number 4, the 4th deadly sin is you're listening to the guru on another podcast, and he or she is touting about how email marketing is the best way to grow your gym. And if you're not doing email marketing, it's one of the best levers you can pull and all this other stuff. And nothing wrong with email marketing, but nothing works better than a paid acquisition strategy. If this person is telling you Facebook is dead, it's too costly, it's just because they do not understand how digital advertising works. Digital advertising can literally light a fire on your business and cause you extreme growth if you know how to use it correctly and if you're willing to put in the work. So just as a reference, I've said this on other podcasts before, my numbers are pretty similar to the standard that I've kind of set for my gym, but you need to be doing 50 dials a day in your facility. Okay, now let that sink in. 50 dials a day. That means 5-6 days a week. Think about that. Now, it doesn't sound like much, right? $50. Okay, it doesn't sound like much. Think about, pick up the phone, dial 50 people. With the chance of getting 50 no's, getting hung up on, stop calling me, you're harassing me, you're being creepy, blah, blah, all these things. That's what it takes to make digital advertising work in your facility. 50 dials a day. If you're not willing to do that, and you just want to push send on an email, you're in the wrong place because pushing send on an email will only generate so much. But when you do digital marketing correctly, you're also growing your email list. So when you push send on the email, you have a better chance of output. So don't listen to the gurus who tell you don't waste your time on Facebook, because I did that for a very, very long time. And digital advertising, when done correctly, works well.
Yep, 100%. And you're going to have to be comfortable spending a little bit of money to learn about it. You're going to have to, it's going to feel like you're lighting money on fire. It's going to feel that way in the beginning. But you got to light a couple $1,000s on fire before you really get it dialed in, you get it to where you want it to go. Okay. So you have to be comfortable releasing those funds. And some of these funds are an investment in your ability to learn about the software. So the initial investments that you make into a digital advertising platform are to see what works and to test stuff. There's still an amount of budget that we spend on testing ads to see if they work. And then maybe they don't work, shut them off. But you have to be comfortable getting rid of those funds, not getting rid of them, but investing them in a new skill. And you have to be comfortable with that aspect of it and spending more and more and more money because the returns are there. If the returns are there, you spend the money, the returns are there, awesome.
So guys, I'll give you a little bit of quick rundown. The best campaign I've ever run, and I run this by myself. I literally Googled how to do this. I put it together. I know nothing. I'm not an ad agency. I figured it out, right? The best ad that I've ever ran, I got 268 leads. And my lead cost was a little higher. It was around 28 bucks, but I was converting them. Guys, I spent $7,500 on those leads. But now, if you want to look at the email side of it, right? 268 emails I got in, 268 potential people who have been coming back. Like, people don't sign up right away. Like, we had someone who reached out to us in December sign up yesterday. It's April. It's March right now, at the end of March. So you have those people who kind of drip in, but you have to be willing to spend the money, because I was profitable. I don't know off my head because I just pulled up my Facebook thing, but I don't know how many of those people I actually converted into memberships. But on average, if you did about 10%, that's 26 members. If I was to do really quick math, 26 new members at $450 a month, which is my average, it's 11 grand just on the front end that I made. So I saved my, I spent 75, but I made 1170, all just on the first month, not including what happens after that.
Yeah,
so
after you calculate lifetime value into that, it's like a huge win. You calculate back end lifetime value because you look at attrition rates. If you have a 5% attrition rate, you're going to be keeping members for somewhere around 17, 18 months on average, right? It's somewhere around there. We can do the math real quick, but it's like 17 or 18 months you're keeping somebody if you have a 5% attrition rate. So after closing those members, and we close members directly into continuity. We don't do front end stuff. We just close them directly in. So when you think about that and the lifetime value of that member, you can take that 11 grand and you can multiply it by 18. That's the profit. That's the gross money.
So we're looking at $210,000 that I made from that.
From $7,500 in spend.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah. So for the guru who's telling you to write an email, I say no, don't send the email. Focus on writing an ad instead. And I'm not poo-pooing on email, because email has its place in time.
It does.
But you have to use digital marketing. So guys, that's the 4 deadly sins. If you're making any of these sins, you need to click the link below, get on the phone with us so we can relieve you of these sins. But until next time, guys, Anthony and Jimmy, Fitness Profit Multiplier, we are out.